study for the region, and we're willing to share cost amongst ourselves. And so out of that came a request for qualifications process where we were trying to identify a qualified engineer to do the work. And so after that RFQ process, we had a few submittals. We identified firms that we were most interested in, and we selected the Timmons Group, which has strong ties to Greensboro, North Carolina. And we pursued with them a contract to bring before you, and I've been keeping the council and the public abreast of that. And we finally have the contract. So the contract is in the agenda packet. The amount of the contract is $175,000. I had said all along that the money that was in the state budget, it appeared that that could be used for this study, so that we would not front as a town any local money. And but that was a caveat. It appears, it looks like it's headed in that direction. Fast forward to today, and that language was amended at the state level, and it is very clear that that those funds that are in the budget can be used for this study. And what you have before you is the actual negotiated contract between all four of our jurisdictions, Guilford County and the three towns, and have a very detailed breakdown, as you would expect for a project of this size. You see the scope of services that we went back and forth with them for some time about, and we have the pricing, and I present it to you tonight for consideration. My recommendation about it is based on the Summerfield Comprehensive Plans Policy 5.1 and Council's July 2016 position, regional interest and collaboration, and state funding availability. I recommend approving the multi-jurisdictional contract with Timmons Group for the Northwestern Guilford County Water System Feasibility Study in the amount of $175,000. And we've talked a little bit in the months preceding this about what that entails. It is not a full-scale design of the water system. It's looking at all sources around us. It's not looking specifically at Rockingham County, but all feasible sources. It's looking at the possible formation of a water authority to ultimately manage such a system if we were to so move in that direction. And in reference to the funding, it appears that that would be from conversations with the state budget office between them and the county manager that we would definitely not have to front any local money for that. Those funds would be allocated to the county, and it would be paid for out of that state funding. And glad to answer any questions about it. Good question. I asked this afternoon and I have not heard back. I know that the county passed it, Oak Ridge passed it, and I was hoping to have an answer on Stokesdale, and I didn't get it this evening before the meeting. And just to let you know, if they didn't, and we talked about this in the beginning, everybody has an out clause on this, and so if they didn't pass it and we wanted to go forward with it, the portion attributed to us, instead of a quarter of the cost, would be a third of the cost. But since that's being covered by the state funding, I don't think that would be a big consideration, but it might be a consideration for you in terms of that regional collaboration. Stokes still passed it 4-1. There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
I should have just asked you.
Since that came from Patty, we're confident it's not fake news.
No. I believe both of the other votes for the county and Oak Ridge were unanimous. So we're trending in a direction of collaboration, I would say.
Good.
Okay. Further discussion on it, on the subject, or we ready for motion?
Last but not least, I think that, we make a motion unless somebody else would rather.
I make a motion.
Discussion.
Based on the Summerfield Comprehensive Plan, that portion of it. Based on Summerfield Comprehensive Plan, Policy 5.1, Council, July 16th, position, regional interest and collaboration, and state funding availability, I motion to approve the multi-group judicial contract with Timmons Group for the Northwestern Guilford County Water System feasibility study in the amount of $175,000.
I'll second.
Okay, motion on Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Walker, further discussion. All in favor, raise your hand.
Can I just say, I just want to underline that word study.
It's a study.
It is a study.
Okay, correct. Okay. Video committee ordinance revision.
As we talked about last month, we had a subcommittee helping with the formation of this committee that was a split between staff, myself, and the planning director, Spencer, and also two council members, Councilmember O'Day and Adams. And we've got 3 different topics that we need about this ordinance and appointment and facilitation and setting this up that we need to take in this order. And since there's a lot here, Mr. Adams, would you like to start with this first one?
I can start with that one, certainly. And I just want to say that to the public that the town council has taken action after listening to the public hearings that we had in January, February, and other times that we heard from citizens via email or otherwise. And I wanted to say it was terrific from a councilman's perspective. I believe all the council would agree that the interest that came out of that was really enlightening on many different fronts. But one of the most important things that came out of that was the interest in the Unified Development Ordinance as a whole, not just simply picking out a part of it and having that as being the object of interest. It's the whole UDO that's of interest, and that's hence why the council on April the 11th at the council meeting put forward the suggestion and the discussion to form an advisory group, citizen advisory group made up of volunteers. And they would look at the entire UDO and create a process whereby we could compare those ordinances in how they fall into conjunction with the comprehensive plan. So in April, that committee was beginning to be put together, and then in the May 9th meeting, an ordinance was put forward and drafted, and with the help of Councilman O'Day, myself, and staff, and it was approved. There was from that also a subcommittee that was asked to look at it and look carefully at all of the things that would be associated with the ordinance. And after looking at it and studying what it has in it and the purpose of it, and I thought I'd just read kind of just real quickly. The town council has its objective and the purpose of the UDO review committee. The town council is to adopt a citizen-supported UDO that is better aligned with the adopted comprehensive plan. The purpose of the UDO review committee is to engage representative community stakeholders in a review of the current UDO draft substantive issues with the goal of shaping a final UDO draft that is more congruent with the current comprehensive plan. That's the purpose. So in this process that we've been through, and it's been a number of hours that we've talked about, before we ever spoke to any volunteer citizens, there were some things that kind of stood out that we needed a change or some revision in the original ordinance. And those are outlined, you can see in this particular first area, this ordinance revisions. And there's two areas. One is increasing the number of voting residents and eliminating the alternate members. Number two is utilizing both a facilitator and chair instead of either or, and better defining these roles. And three is changing the committee's start date. So if you, by the way, Manager, if I'm taking your valuable words out of your mouth, you just let me know.
You're good.
Okay. So if you'd like to go back and turn to the highlighted areas, I think that we'll see real quickly where the highlighted areas are. Originally, the start date has been moved to 7/20 instead of looking at this on 7/6, starting the first meeting. That would be the week of 4th of July, which was just not logical. So we've moved the start date to 7/20. That's our recommendation. Membership and size composition, instead of having just 9 with 2 alternates, we've suggested having 13 voting members, 2 ex officios, 1 council member, and a zoning board member, and a facilitator. And I think you can just read those highlighted areas there as well. The officers will be elected. This area of the roles will be in our next component, which would be another slight change, which would be in the next topic, which would be the UDO review committee facilitation. So the roles will be shown a little bit more apparent there in the next area to discuss. But we believe that the chair and a facilitator should be separated. To ask the chair to actually be a facilitator, what that does, it puts the chair in an awkward position in that they should be a valuable contributor to this instead of volunteer citizen. And if we have them trying to facilitate a meeting, which is really just keeping it on track and taking it the direction that it needs to go, they wouldn't be able to engage with the kind of conversations that they can add to the conversation. So we felt like a facilitator is well worth the investment to make sure that we have the chair as a voting member. And a quorum would be made up of 7 voting members. Is that about covered, Mr. Manager? At least for that
It does,
portion?
and I don't actually, I'm sorry, I don't have the marked up copy here, but so one of the most important parts of the proposed changes are the membership, what's being proposed about the membership changes. And so what we're proposing, let me just read it, it's not long. As far as the size and composition, the request is to change it and say, membership shall include 13 voting resident members, 2 ex officio members, 1 council member, and 1 zoning board member, and a facilitator for a total of 16 members. That's 13 voting, 2 ex officio, and 1 facilitator. No other ex officio membership shall be granted. Officers shall be elected from the 13 voting resident members.
Don't we have one exception for that? For the last sentence.
Officers shall be elected from the 13 voting resident members. Well, we go on to say, to your point, we go on to say, in reference to the roles or the officers, that the chair will be appointed by council. And so that's one of the recommended changes, because when we went into this, it was a facilitator or chair because we weren't sure which direction made the most sense. And as Mr. Adams explained, as we got into the process and started talking to facilitators, what came out of that was actually both positions, a facilitator and a chair. But the one change that this committee talked about related to that was the chair will be appointed by council, and then the other positions, the vice chair and the secretary, they'll be voted on by the committee internally. Another key component there is since we're suggesting both a chair and a facilitator, we added a couple of sentences about the role because we had it broken down in the ordinance before. The review committee member's role, the planning staff's role, the zoning board's role, and the town council's ultimate role. So we added a couple of sentences that said in reference to the facilitator's role. This role should be scoped by a separate agreement. That's what's next on the agenda. That's contracting for a facilitator. But any facilitator should remain neutral, guide content and process, and ensure that the committee focuses on the committee purpose and task at hand, which is a little bit different than the role of the chair, which is further outlined. And those are the substantive changes that we're suggesting.
Discussion by council. Good with it, you want to make a motion to approve the revisions?
So I would make a motion that we adopt the changes recommended by the subcommittee in these three specific areas: increasing the number of voting residents, eliminating alternate members, utilizing both a facilitator and a chair instead of either or, and better defining these roles. And 3, changing the committee's start date.
We have a motion, we have a second. Second by Mr. Barry. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. All that time. Okay, solicitation.
Continuing the discussion, we looked at internally several options for facilitation for consultants and outside, independent from just the role of staff and or council outside facilitation. And ultimately, where we ended up with as a recommendation is contracting with our council of governments, as the Piedmont Triad Regional Council now. And in talking with them about it, they met with our subcommittee and brought a facilitator in that they had worked with in the past, Bill McNeil. And what was ultimately proposed to the committee that we're passing along as a recommendation is a separate contract for that facilitation. The contract would be with PTRC, and the dollar amount is $9,995. This is a long process that we expect to go in the least late winter, with 2 meetings a month. And in your packet, you have a detailed contract for that. They in turn would be contracting with the facilitator directly. Some of those duties would be shared between PTRC staff and Mr. McNeil. And again, they would be working in conjunction with the chair, who is actually facilitating or leading the committee from that perspective. And Carrie, have I missed anything you'd like to add to that component?
I think the key justification for this expense is to truly address the citizen concern correctly and take ourselves out of the facilitation mix so that the process has the best possible chance of being unbiased and sincere. This is an experienced facilitator, familiar with this type of work. PTRC is very experienced with this type of work and with public engagement, and including them as an organization is a huge asset as far as just thinking through the process as well. It's not just us. So it gives it the attention it deserves.
And Mr. Manager, do you want to approve a contract tonight? Is this what this is?
I'm requesting, if you're ready for it, it is a contract, and the attorney says what you have there is legally sufficient. So if we go ahead and put that in place this evening, the facilitator and PTRC can go ahead and begin preparations for that July 20th date that we just changed, that we're anticipating the first meeting. Is that the right date here?
July 20th.
July 20th. So now would ideally be better than waiting to the council meeting in July.
Right. Okay. Any further discussion, or do we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for UDO Review Committee facilitation with the Piedmont Triad Regional Council and Building Material Planning in the amount of $9,995.
And motion by Mr. Isaiah, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Walker. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay. Approved. Committee appointment.
It's not
The amount stated was it $9,995?
I said $9,995.
Yeah.
I think it's equivalent.
Yeah.
I'm a math major, but I'm pretty sure it's
I got a funny look at the check. The next item on the agenda is the UDO Review Committee appointments. And I'm going to start by saying a lot of work went into this with staff and the council, the subcommittee. And Mr. Adams, there again, you were very involved with this. Do you want to start the discussion on this part?
Just say a few things from the outset. First of all, it was great to see the citizens stepping forward and wanting to become involved, which is terrific. I mean, we were really pleased the fact that so many people that wanted to come forward. We extended the date by a week or better just to make sure we were able to capture as many people that wanted to come forward, and that gave us a total roll call of about 24 people, and which was qualified people all from different areas, and just a terrific group of people. The criteria that we used in the subcommittee is we were interviewing folks and trying to assess, which was a very difficult thing, I would say. I would think that any of us would agree that it was very hard to find things that met the criteria in every particular case, but we were trying to do the best we could with a geographic spread of the people that were the 24 folks that had come forward. Their experience in terms of the comprehensive plan, had they had experience, or with any development ordinances. And we also wanted a fair amount of people that had not had any experience with any government aspect of Summerfield on committees or otherwise. We also looked for folks that were new to the community, and those people that were long-standing in the community. And those folks that had any kind of experience in land development, which was very important. The objectivity and the willingness to serve was very important. While there was some burning desires in some folks on certain issues of UDO, we understood that, we took that into consideration as well. But all in all, it was the genuine interest is what we were looking for, to serve and to be able to serve diligently with an objective mind about hearing both sides of the fence and making a decision. Because it's all about the UDO itself, all of it, not just one component. So when we looked across, I'm glad, Scott, you pulled this map up. This is the geography that those yellow marks are the 13 folks that have putting forward to the council tonight. And that was the geography from where they came from. There was some instances where there was multiple people in a particular neighborhood that just wasn't fair for that neighborhood to be represented in such a way as that. So what we are asking the council for tonight is having 13 people that the subcommittee is recommending to be appointed on the ad hoc UDO review committee. I'll read through the names if you wish, Mayor.
We, for committee appointments in the past, we have done a motion on each and every one of them in case there is discussion and have a separate vote on each
Okay.
one of them.
We can do that, whatever is your pleasure.
Is that okay with council? That way, if there's any discussion by council, then they can have a discussion. Okay.
So the first person that would be on the list would be Amber Bess, as recommended by the subcommittee.
Did you have a motion for Ms. Best?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept Ms. Bess as appointment to the UDO review committee.
Okay, motion by Mr. Adams, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Walker. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Go ahead.
Okay, but you want somebody else to read?
No, that's fine. Go right ahead.
Second person on the list that was being recommended to serve on the committee is Andrew Broom.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Broom.
I'll make a motion for Amber.
Okay, motion by Ms. Barnes, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Day. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Churchill Brown, I'm sorry. I should say that.
No, you can go for it.
No, Churchill Brown.
I make a motion that we accept Churchill Brown as being part of the review committee.
Okay, motion by Mr. Adams, a second.
I second.
Second by Mr. O'Day. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Gary Brown.
I'd like to make a motion that Gary Brown be accepted as a member of the UDO review committee.
Okay, motion by Mr. Adams, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Walker. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay. Anthony Cockcroft.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Laughlin. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Day. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Mildred Hopler Boucher. Have a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mildred Hopper to
Okay, motion by Ms. Barnes,
Second.
second by Mr. Adams. Further, any other discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay. Robert Jones. Have a motion.
I make a motion we accept Robert Jones into the UDO review committee.
Okay, motion by Mr. Adams, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. O'Day. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Elizabeth Cameron. We have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept Elizabeth Kaplan to the UDO review committee.
Motion by Mr. Adams, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Barnes. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Ryan Moats.
You missed Mr. Lividay. He's
Ah,
on board.
yes, we did. Jeffrey
Lividay.
Lividay. Jeffrey Lividay. Have a
Just
motion.
being welcome. I make a motion to appoint Jeffrey Lividay to the UDO committee.
Got a motion, Mr. O'Day, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Walker. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Ryan Moats.
Make a motion to appoint Ryan Mutz to the UDO review committee.
Okay, motion by Mr. O'Day, second. One quick question. Do I understand that he's planning on resigning as zoning board alternate?
Yes, that needs a clarification. Gary, you want to address that?
That's correct. As soon as he's, if he should be appointed, he plans to resign from the zoning board, so there's not a conflict.
When did we appoint him? I forget, April?
Yes.
Just very recently, yeah, before this came to fruition, actually, so that was that quick.
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Mr. Walker. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your hands. Okay. Deborah Cole Moser. We have a motion.
Make a motion to appoint Deborah Kroll Moser to the UDO review committee.
A motion by Mr. O'Day, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay. William Billy Tish. We have a motion.
Recommend, make a motion that we accept Mr. Tesh to the UDO review committee.
Motion by Mr. Adams, second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Walker. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay. Jason Webster. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion we appoint Jason Webster to the UDO review committee.
Motion by Mr. O'Day, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay. Next is designation of deputy town clerk.
Before we jump to that topic, one of the changes that you just approved in the committee ordinance were that council would appoint the chair of the UDO committee, the UDO review committee. You don't necessarily have to do that this evening, but since we're into the discussion, it would be a fair chance to consider it. And again, that might give them a head start before the July 20th meeting.
Just justification-wise, one, we interviewed everybody. So,
Right, we're done with that portion.
Number two, we need the chair to start before the first commission meeting. So plan the first meeting, meet with the facilitator. So he needs to get going a little bit earlier than each year.
Okay. One more.
We do, the committee, after interviewing everyone, had identified a couple of applicants in particular that we thought would have strong objectivity and be particularly suited to that role. The first one that was called, I think Mr. Adams talked to him, was Andrew Broom.
Right.
He is a citizen that has not been engaged, as several of these have not been, with town committees or involvement before. But we're very impressed, and when that offer was extended, or just a request by them if they would consider serving contingent upon appointment by this council,